I'm old. And I'm the only one left from the 40s that worked on Captain America.
Wow.
So I feel blessed. I treat everybody right and I hope for the best. What can I say?
Okay, I did as well. It's a great thing to start with. So,
I used to do a lot of video. I had a sound editor as a hobby.
mm-hmm.
When film, Super 8 sound, man, I stay all day and I hold the film up and I have a sound editor. I had to get one little syllable out. Like, man, all day I worked on it until I got that little bugger out, you know. I used to love it. Used to love it.
Absolutely.
Then they came in with tape and that killed it, you know. Although I used to edit on tape with two JVCs.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's enough of that.
Okay.
Start all over. Take two.
My name is Ken Johnson. I'm with Grand Rapids Comic-Con, and I am sitting here with comic book legend Alan Bellman.
That's right.
How are you doing today?
Fine, sir. Thank you for having me.
Although you've been known for a lot of different works, probably your best known is your work with the original golden age of Captain America.
That's
Can you
right.
tell me a little bit about what your experience was like working for Marvel Comics back in its heyday?
Well, I remember getting the job on Columbus Day, 1942. I saw an ad in the New York Times and I showed my dad and I said, I'll go tomorrow. It's a holiday. No, he said, you go today. And I kept going back and forth with him, you know. And the thing was that he won. I went down to the McGraw-Hill building in New York City and I got the job in 5-10 minutes. I started doing backgrounds. Kirby and Simon left for DC Comics. That left an opening for me. And I started doing backgrounds on Captain America. In a short period of time, they gave me my own scripts to work on. And I worked on many. I pencil and inked, and whatever Stan Lee threw at me, I did. War stories, westerns, love stories, horror stories, science fiction. Whatever Stan Lee wanted me to do, I did. I worked on Submariner, Human Torch, and many, many characters. I worked on a Patriot, Destroyer. You know, it's hard to keep track of what you've done. People remember work I've done that I can't remember. They showed it to me at conventions. I look at it, I says, did I do that? That's good. You know, and it was a joy seeing my old work again that fans have brought to my attention. Man, I'm sorry, I remember that, but I can't remember what I had for breakfast.
So, about how old were you when you started working on Captain America?
I was all of 18 years of age.
Wow.
Say that one more time.
18 years.
Wow.
I cannot even imagine that. I mean, I'm 22, so the idea of 4 years ago working on what soon became one of the most iconic characters in comic book history.
I'll tell you something, I never thought I'd be here, even at the age of 89. The fans brought me back. They love the old-time comics. They love the way it was drawn in the 40s and 50s and 60s. Today the art is very beautiful, very clean, very well done. They tell me it's been done with computers, but someone had to draw it originally. These guys, new guys, are good, but they love the old-time art. That's what I give them.
What kind of work did you work on before Captain America?
Well, I created my own characters, you know. I was green, I was a young kid, I loved to draw.
Mm-hmm.
There was characters like Crash Casey and Big Hank O'Malley and, numerous different names. I had a comic strip called The Air Patrol, which was printed in my junior high school newspaper. I had a club going called the United Amateur Cartoon Club. We had 4 members. We used to meet after school. They gave us a room. And what can I say? You know, it's just a dream come true.
It's a very powerful history you lead.
I'll tell you something. If I wrote a book, it would be powerful.
I would imagine. I would definitely be one to read it.
Oh, there's so many stories to tell. So many, so many. I've seen so many things. Stan Lee gave up. Stanley didn't give up, but let me rephrase that. They gave up the staff, and each day someone was let go. When it came to my time, I ran up to Lev Gleason Publications, Crime Does Not Pay, and I worked for a gentleman, Charlie Biro and Bob Wood. Bob Wood had a history. It was a very good to work for, but he'd come in on Mondays with, as if he was in a fight or something. He had a history of drinking, and one day I was walking the pavement, I saw the headline on the old New York Journal American, "Cartoonist Kills Woman in Tryst." Is that the right word, tryst?
I believe so.
That's one man and woman in a tryst. So I was amazed. Here was this man, mild-mannered gentleman, doing this. And afterwards, he killed her. They let him out of prison. And they say he took an order as a short order cook in a diner in New Jersey. And then, from what I understand, the mob took him out.
Okay.
This is what I've read. This is what I've been told. How
All right.
true it is, I don't know. But he was a good gentleman, but he did not lead his good life, I guess.
Again,
Do you have an extra battery? Mine's died.
not for a T3i. If yours goes out, it's all right. Do our
I
best.
figured, but
So, you had spoken that you, although you weren't around in a full capacity at the very beginning of Captain America, what about how early into the process did you really start having an influence over the character?
Excuse me. Well, I didn't really have any influence because that was Sid Shore's and Vince Salatia's baby at the time. I started doing backgrounds. Then I may have inked some of it. And I've inked many stories, you know, like Submariner or pencil some here and there. And
If you could pick either one image or one comic or one character that you've worked on, or just like if you had to pick like one iconic image that you created as an artist that you can look back on in your career, what would it be?
what took you so long to ask me that? Yes, I created a comic strip called Let's Play Detective, which Marvel now reprints in hardcover books and magazines that they put out now. The characters I had was Mike Trapp and his sidekick Pepper Burns, play on names. And they reprint it now in hardcover books and the magazines, what they issue today. And someday I hope Disney could recognize that for a good family detective story where families could sit together and solve a crime together without dirty words and bet scenes and things like that. You know, good clean murder mystery.
It's
Not
great
that
to
all
hear.
murder mysteries are clean, but
Absolutely, as clean as a murder mystery you can get. It's really interesting to hear that. Just hearing somebody who's worked on works that are very fantastical in nature, and being able to still look back on on a much simpler and much down to earth kind of project you worked on and look at it so highly. That's very interesting to hear.
well, could you kind of put that in a more simpler language?
I just mean, you've worked on a lot of these. You work in Captain America or these other projects that are so iconic and known by so many fans. It's very interesting to see a project that you look back on that may be something that your average comic fan may not have heard of, but as an artist who's worked on so much, can still recollect and still cherish.
Oh, I recollect a lot because I work with different people, and everyone can tell you a story, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I've been asked many times to write a book, but I'm not a writer, and maybe someone will come along and write the story. It could be very explosive.
Absolutely.
I've just about seen everything, and I worked for Stan Lee, and he was a good boss, and treated me kindly and kept me busy working. And I've seen so many of our artists leave us.
Mm-hmm.
One was Gene Colan, when he started working for us, he was a curly-haired kid, and when I met him again 50 years later, he was an old man like myself. So what can I say, you know? But I've worked with some wonderful people that are not with us anymore.
Well, for what it's worth, we're very glad that you're still with us.
Me too. And I thank you for having me, and may I say this, we cannot be everybody's friend, but let's be nice to each other. It's a tough enough world as it is.
So my final question to you is, as a person who was involved so early in the real boom of this medium, personally in my life, I have never met anyone who is alive during the golden age of comics, let alone somebody who worked and was very famous in the golden age of comics. How has it been like just having the experience of seeing this medium evolve and how your life has changed because of the work that you've done?
Well, that's a very good question. And the only way I can answer that is thank God. Because I never thought, again, I may be repeating myself, but I never thought that I would receive this type of recognition. I have drawn for Australia, someone in Hong Kong, Europe, and of course in the States and Canada. I don't look for answers. I don't look a gift horse in the mouth, and I always say I feel blessed. And this is something that was given to me, and what can I say but thank God.
Absolutely. Well, that was Alan Bellman in our special interview from Grand Rapids Comic-Con. Sir, as both a comic book fan, as a filmmaker, and even just as a person, I am blessed to have been able to have this interview with you, and thank you for your time.
And I thank you for having me. Bless you too, my friend.
Thank you. That'll be it.
Cut.
I'm going to go ahead and get started then. It's Alan Bellman, correct?
Alan Bellman, it's correct.
Okay. That is just one thing you do not want to mess up in an interview like this, so I just wanted to make sure.
Well, you can edit it, and you can take me out entirely, or you can take out the bad words I'm going to say. No, I won't. No bad words.
All right.